It's a random morning, nothing special, no promotion, no raise, no new year, new you energy, just you, your coffee, and a normal day. You open your banking app the way most people do now, carefully, like you're bracing for impact. You're not checking your balance because you're excited. You're checking because you need to know if something is about to go wrong. Because when you're living in survival mode, money isn't a tool. Money is a threat detector. But today feels different. You look at the numbers, and for the first time in a long time, your stomach doesn't drop. You don't feel that sharp little panic response in your body. You don't start mentally rearranging bills in your head. You don't start bargaining with the universe. You just breathe. And then something hits you that most people don't notice until it's already happened. The job didn't suddenly become better. You just stop being trapped by it. This is the moment work stops feeling like survival. It's one of the most powerful financial milestones you can reach. Not because it makes you rich, but because it makes you stable. And stability is what creates real freedom. Most people think financial freedom is binary. You're either broke or you're rich. You're either working or retired. You're either trapped or free. That's how social media sells it. That's how motivational content sells it. That's how the quit your job tomorrow fantasy gets clicks. But that's not how life works. Freedom is not a switch. It's a gradient. It's not, I'm suffering on Monday and I'm free on Tuesday. It's a slow transition from fear-based living to choice-based living. It's the difference between waking up and thinking, if I lose this job, I'm finished, versus waking up and thinking, if I lose this job, that would be annoying, but I'll be fine. That shift doesn't happen at retirement. It happens much earlier than that. And if you understand how it works, you can reach it faster than you think. If you're someone who feels trapped in the paycheck cycle, or you're working hard but still feel like you're one bad month away from disaster, or you're trying to build a future that doesn't depend on your boss's mood, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. Because today, we're going to break down the exact moment work stops feeling like survival, how to measure it, and the simple system that gets you there. Here's the first uncomfortable truth. Most people don't have an income problem. They have a fragility problem. Two people can earn the exact same salary. One of them feels calm. The other feels like they're drowning. The difference isn't always discipline. The difference isn't always hard work. The difference is margin. Margin is the space between your life and your breaking point. If your monthly income is $6,000 and your expenses are $5,900, you are not safe. You are fragile. You are one broken tire, one medical bill, one surprise expense away from panic. Your paycheck might look decent on paper, but your life is built on a cracked foundation. If your monthly income is $4,500 and your expenses are $2,800, you're safer, you're calmer, you're closer to freedom because you have room to absorb life. This is why so many people feel behind even when they're doing everything right. They're making money, but they're living with zero margin, which means their job isn't just income. Their job is their oxygen supply, and once your job becomes oxygen, you will tolerate almost anything to protect it. Now here's where it gets scary. Living in survival mode doesn't just cost you peace, it costs you money. Survival mode has a hidden fee, a tax. When you're fragile, you make worse financial decisions because you don't have choices. You buy the cheapest option today, even if it's expensive long term. You take the more stressful job because it pays slightly more. You ignore problems until they explode. You miss opportunities because you can't afford risk. Fragility makes you expensive. People think poverty is just not enough income, but poverty is also the cost of being forced into bad timing. Bad timing is one of the most expensive things that can happen to a person. When you have no margin, your entire life is a series of emergency transactions, and emergencies are always overpriced. This is why the moment work stops feeling like survival is a milestone worth obsessing over. Because it's the moment your decisions stop being desperate. So how do you measure this moment? You measure it with one number, your survival threshold. Your survival threshold is the amount of money you need access to in order to stop fearing a normal life event, not a fantasy event, not a world-ending event, just a normal life event. Your car breaks down, you get laid off, a family emergency happens, the economy slows down, a client disappears, your hours get cut. Most people act like these are rare disasters. They're not. They're normal. The only difference is whether you're built to handle them or not. Let's use simple math. If your monthly expenses are $4,000, then 3 months of runway is $12,000. 6 months is $24,000. 12 months is $48,000. This money isn't there to make you feel rich. It's there to make you unkillable. Because once you have 6 months of runway, your boss can't threaten you the same way. The world can't scare you the same way. You stop living like one mistake will end you. And the crazy part is most people never build this. They skip it. They go straight to lifestyle upgrades because lifestyle feels like progress. But runway is progress. It's just invisible progress. So why do people stay fragile? Why do they stay stuck in survival mode? Because they build payment cages. A payment cage is a lifestyle built out of monthly obligations that can't be paused. Rent, car payment, insurance, financing plans, subscriptions. Everything auto-drafting out of your account like a slow leak you can't plug. The payment cage is dangerous because it turns your paycheck into a feeding mechanism. You don't feel like you're earning money. You feel like you're shoveling money into a machine that never fills up. And here's the most brutal part. Monthly payments don't just cost money. They cost flexibility. Flexibility is what makes work stop feeling like survival. Because survival isn't about how much you earn. Survival is about whether you can absorb change. And when your life is built on payments, you can't absorb anything. Your life becomes rigid. One missed paycheck becomes a crisis. Now, some people watching this are thinking, okay, but I make good money. Why do I still feel stressed? Because high income doesn't automatically create safety. In fact, high income can create a new trap. The high income trap is when your lifestyle rises to match your salary so perfectly that you end up with the same fragility, just in a nicer outfit. This is why so many high earners still feel broke. They aren't broke in the classic sense. They're just financially trapped. They're living inside a more expensive cage. And the problem with an expensive cage is that it takes longer to escape. The higher your monthly expenses are, the more runway you need. The more runway you need, the longer it takes to build. The longer it takes to build, the longer you remain trapped. It's not an income problem. It's an overhead problem. This is where the freedom gradient becomes useful. Because once you see the stages, you can locate yourself on the map. Stage 1, the panic stage. This is where missing one paycheck creates immediate damage. You borrow, you scramble, you go into survival mode instantly. Stage 2, the cushion stage. This is where you have maybe 1 to 3 months of runway. You're still vulnerable, but you don't collapse immediately. Stage 3, the breathing stage. This is the moment work stops feeling like survival, usually around 6 to 12 months of runway with controlled fixed expenses. You have choices, you have time, you can say no. Stage 4, the optional stage. This is where your productive assets can cover your lifestyle, and your job becomes optional. You can keep working, but you're not trapped. Most people think only stage 4 matters. But stage 3 is where your life changes emotionally. It's where your nervous system finally calms down. It's where you stop living like you're being hunted. And the goal of this video isn't to promise stage 4 tomorrow. The goal is to get you to stage 3 as fast as possible. Because stage 3 is where you start winning. So what actually causes the shift? What makes work stop feeling like survival? There are 3 moves, and they're not glamorous. They're not trendy, but they work. Move 1, build runway before you chase lifestyle. Most people do the opposite. They upgrade first, Then they try to save what's left. What's left is usually nothing. Runway has to come first, because runway is what buys calm. Move 2. Kill the payment cage. You don't need to live like a monk. You just need to stop financing your identity. You audit your monthly obligations and cut the ones that provide comfort but steal freedom. You reduce fixed costs because fixed costs are what create fragility. Move 3. Start owning productive assets consistently. This is the long-term engine. The goal is not to gamble. The goal is ownership. Small ownership repeated over time compounds into serious freedom. And yes, the beginning will feel slow. That's normal. But the curve is real. The curve does not care if you feel impatient. Now, let's talk about the psychological traps that keep people in stage 1 and stage 2 forever, because this part is subtle. The biggest trap is thinking freedom comes from one big event, a promotion, a business breakthrough, a lottery win, a perfect investment. People wait for the moment that fixes everything. But freedom isn't created by one big moment. It's created by one small system repeated for years. Another trap is confusing comfort with stability. A new car feels stable because it's reliable. A new apartment feels stable because it's nicer. But if those upgrades increase your monthly obligations, they reduce your stability. They make your life more fragile. The third trap is social pressure. People feel embarrassed living below their means. They feel like they're behind. But living below your means is the fastest way to stop living in survival mode. It's not behind, it's strategy. This is why work stops feeling like survival for some people in their 30s, while others never feel it at 60. It's not intelligence, it's systems. There's another psychological shift that happens right before stage 3. You stop trying to be cheap and you start trying to be strategic. Cheap is reactive, cheap is short-term. Cheap is buying the lowest price today, even if it costs you more tomorrow. Strategic is designing your life to reduce future stress. Strategic means paying for stability. Strategic means paying down fixed obligations. Strategic means building runway. Strategic means investing consistently. Most people are not undisciplined. They are just unplanned. They don't have a system, so money becomes emotional. But once you build a system, money becomes mechanical. That's what creates calm. Here's what to do right now. Step 1. Calculate your real monthly expenses. Not guesses, not vibes, reality. Add everything. Housing, food, transportation, bills, subscriptions, and the random spending that always somehow happens. Step 2. Pick your runway target. Start with 3 months, then 6, then 12, but pick a number so you stop drifting. Step 3. Automate the runway fund. Every paycheck, money goes in, not optional. This is your oxygen tank. The goal is to never rely on willpower. Step 4. Restructure your fixed costs. Housing, transportation, and subscriptions are the biggest levers. If you control those, you control your life. Step 5. Build consistent ownership. Invest what you can consistently into productive assets you actually understand. Don't chase hype. Don't chase gambling. Stay steady, because steady is what survives long enough to compound. And here's a bonus step that most people ignore. Build a survival schedule. If you lost your income tomorrow, what bills would you pay first? What would you cut immediately? How long could you last? Knowing the answer removes panic, because panic comes from uncertainty. The moment work stops feeling like survival isn't the day you become rich. It's the day you become stable. It's the day you stop being one bad month away from chaos. And if you build it correctly, stage 3 isn't the finish line. It's the launch pad, because once you can breathe, you can invest. Once you can invest, you can compound. Once you compound, you can cross over. And once you cross over, work becomes optional. Most people chase money because they think money fixes the stress. But money doesn't fix survival mode. Margin fixes survival mode. Runway fixes survival mode. Ownership fixes survival mode. If this video helped you see freedom differently, share it with someone who feels trapped inside the paycheck cycle. And subscribe, because we're building the blueprint here. See you in the next video.